Well, thank you so much for being here, Iffet. Iffet has been sharing the gift of yoga with hundreds of participants in the Richmond area for the past 15 years as an instructor, a speaker, a teacher, trainer, and coach. She has an easygoing and accessible teaching style, and she loves talking about yoga and meditation and presenting the mysteries and ancient teachings of yoga in a modern way. And she teaches all level of practice from chair and gentle to vinyasa and power yoga with a focus on making practice possible for everyone. She has a bachelor's and master of music performance from the Juilliard School, and she won a position at the Richmond Symphony in 1995. And then after a personal experience that I'll let Iffet share if she'd like to, she changed her profession and direction. But I'm so impressed by your amazing background. And thank you so much for taking the time to share with us today. So everyone, please welcome Iffet.
Hi, everybody, and thank you so much for coming in. The day started out kind of dreary. I see the sun coming out, which is always nice. So some of you may have actually bumped into me or even taken some of my classes. I was at ECAC in Short Pump and at Midlothian for 15 years. So once the COVID shut the gyms down, I'm no longer at ACAC, but some of you may have seen me there. I've also been at American Family Fitness, and I'm now at Crunch, two to three locations depending on the week. And I've been doing a lot of teaching at home, a lot of teaching over Zoom. People are joining me in this format, which is amazing, and I hope it keeps up in this way, even when the gyms start opening up and all of that good kind of stuff. But I've been noticing that people of all ages, of all backgrounds, have been asking specifically. They're not so much going for the sweating and work it out type of yoga, but they're looking very much for the meditative practices and the contemplative practices. And I think especially during this time, we've been kind of craving something, because we've been with ourselves quite some time for quite some time now. Can only watch so much Netflix, although I'm pushing that envelope as far as how much we can watch. And so the being with ourselves has been a little bit of a challenge. And so what do we do with the noise that's in our mind? So meditation is a great place to turn. And what I love is I'm seeing more and more articles about it, stuff like this, where people are like, hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk to somebody who knows about it. So I always recommend starting a practice in meditation from wherever you are. You don't need any special equipment, which is very nice. And it's very much like a yoga practice. You start with somebody who knows what they're doing, and and just see where it is. Don't expect too much.
Sounds good. I've got some background noise, so I was muted there. But yeah, I think that's really cool because, during COVID, we had to adjust to having, really staying at home. Some of the gyms, actually all of them were closed for quite some time. And so I was using my stairs, I know for a while there, going up and down the stairs. And then folks went to online things. And in fact, you were talking about how much you've been using the online platform for your teaching as well, correct?
Yeah. And part of me was thinking, now that things are opening up again, maybe people will not so much. But a friend of mine said yesterday, look, you can get up, get dressed, put your clothes on, go out the door, grab your keys, drive, go to the gym, or you can stay home, roll out of bed, go into your, whatever, right next to your bed and do something. And I think that is one of the great things that's come out of this is we've realized we don't have to go anywhere. We can do it on our own. And sometimes it's a lot easier that way. A lot of people like the group setting. I'm not going to lie. It was always very difficult to get me to practice on my own. I'm an orchestral player. I'm not a soloist. So I was trained to play and practice and feed off with other people's energy. And I have to say, when we first got locked down and all of the energy of my students and participants and everything was taken away, I was at loss. I really didn't know what to do because I realized how important it was for me to feed off of other people and to teach and to learn and to grow in that way. But like with everything else, we've adjusted, and it's been pretty amazing. So I think this format's kind of here to stay, for sure.
Well, yes, I agree. I agree. And I was thinking we might want to take this outside at some point when we start, when people start doing some gathering. We usually have a health fair. Oh, I'm getting a thumbs up from Kenyatta. So I think that's something we should do at some point. And we've got lots of open spaces in Innsbruck, so we can always accommodate that kind of situation. But let's dive into meditation. So one of the things that I read online, and I think I am always concerned about, is like, how do I stop all the noise? This bees buzzing up there and I can't stop them. So what is your advice in terms of just getting started with some basic meditation?
Have you ever tried to stop a swarm of bees?
No.
Okay, I don't recommend it. I don't.
Good point.
All right, so really one of the best things we can do is train our mind to not mind so much. So it's important that we realize that the brain is another organ, right? And it's supposed to think and it's supposed to process, and that's what it does. So thank you, mind, for doing what you do, and it does it really well. And it takes energy, just like the heart pumping and the lungs working and the diaphragm working and all of that kind of stuff. So if we look at the mind as this other organ doing the job that it's supposed to do, then that makes it a lot nicer. The Fortunately or unfortunately, we get to be involved in the job that the mind does. The heart does its own thing, and hopefully it works pretty well. And when it starts not working so well, then we might start paying attention to it. We are in the presence of our mind doing what it does all the time. So rather than, there's never virtue in trying to stop something that is natural. So what we can do is bring our attention, in other words, and that is the wonderful thing about the mind, is the amount of attention and energy that it can put towards one thing is so great. So in as many directions as it can go, just in that straight one pointed focus is it's really good at it, really good at it. So that's what we try to do, is we start easy with, again, whatever you have. Breathing. We all breathe. And what's interesting is I actually work with people with one of my newest clients has COPD and has been living with lung cancer for a few days. So I'm just saying, oh, we're just breathing. Well, she's not just breathing. Breathing is really at the top of her, the top of her mind all the time. So for her, I'm actually bringing her mind away from breathing. I'm just saying, just watch your chest go up and down. She's still watching herself breathing, but she's just watching that chest go up and down. And so I have to kind of move away from it. So I have to do a little bit of bopping and scatting with different clients. But always the having a sense of curiosity and willingness to do this. You would be surprised. I mean, we're all sitting here. I don't know how many people are with us today, but we're all sitting here like, yeah, this is something that I'm interested in. You would be shocked at the amount of people that would never think about just sitting and breathing. Like, it wouldn't even dawn on them that something that would be beneficial. And we're in that group too, for sure. So it's already, the fact that you're just sitting here and watching this and listening is a step towards bringing yourself some calm. So I think that's pretty cool.
And so, yeah, I'm definitely one of those people who I don't think about the just breathing thing. Though I have had a device that now tells me to breathe, tells me to, and I'm like, what? No, I don't have time for that. What? Of course, it's ridiculous, right? I mean, you don't have time to breathe, Yvonne. But I get it. So can we do a short exercise together?
Yeah, real easy, real easy. So I want everybody to just be where you are, sit back in your chair, and here's the hard part: close your eyes. Okay, so if you can close your eyes, that's the hardest thing. Now, sometimes we realize that once we close our eyes, it brings anxiety into the mind. We don't know what's coming at us. So I'm going to be really nice and say that if you want to keep your eyes open and focus in one spot, you can do that. And so usually during a yoga or meditation practice, we have the intention of breathing in and out through the nose. So keeping the mouth closed, we'll just breathe easily in through the nose and out through the nose. We don't want to change anything or fix anything. Just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. And as soon as you notice your attention has moved away, even by me talking, bring it back to paying attention to breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Important that as soon as we notice our attention moves away, we keep bringing it back. We may do this 1 time, 100 times, 1,000 times, it doesn't matter. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Good, and now stop paying attention to that. Keep your eyes closed and just observe how you feel, what you feel. Good. Okay, 101, there it is.
Wow, that was great. I feel better already.
So one thing that happens, and I wasn't told this until like, I don't know, my 3rd attempt at learning and practicing meditation, was that as soon as you notice that your attention moves away, I said that a few times. As soon as you notice your attention, so your attention is going to move away because your brain is doing what it does, which is listening and watching and that type of thing. So as soon as you notice that, you catch it and you bring it back. So, and like I said, we can do that 1 time, 100 times, 1,000 times. It's like training a dog. It's like training a puppy, especially a Jack Russell Terrier puppy that's like, you know, you got to keep bringing them back. Training the mind is nothing different. It's nothing different.
Well, I'm sure we're going to gain many things, but if I didn't gain any other thing, was you sort of giving me permission to have my mind wander. I think that my thought was that if I can't keep my mind steady on one thing, then there's something wrong with me. I'm just not a good, you know what I mean? You start thinking, oh, it's me. So thank you. That was a gift.
Yeah. And again, I remember when I was given that gift, I was like, oh, thank goodness. And I had studied meditation for a long time with some masters, and there are so many different, and we can talk about, you know, the different types of meditation is what it is. I mean, you can talk about really any type of it, but the basis is to use your mind like a muscle and, you know, do that little bit of training, however it is, on a point of light, on a word or a phrase or a mantra, on your breathing. If you're doing yoga, to do it on the body sensation and what it feels to be like to have your arms out for a long period of time, or to stay in a plank pose. It's that exercising of bringing back to focus. And then what happens, and that's not it, that is focusing. Then what we get to do is, we're going to experience that in a minute, is, and I just alluded to it just at the end there, was just notice. Just notice how you feel. You know, sometimes at the end of a yoga practice or a meditation practice, I'm like, thank goodness that's over. Yeah. Because some days it's hard. Some days you slip in and it's really nice and easy. But yes, when there is a lot on your mind, there is certainly a lot on your mind, and there's a lot more fog to clear, and to find, you know, to help define. Now, I don't like doing meditation practice or even yoga practice in a really quiet place. I like having the sounds of the world around me. So this next exercise, we're actually going to use some sound. Okay, we ready for another exercise?
Absolutely. Let's go
Okay,
for it.
very good. All right, so again, closing the eyes. If you want to, keep them open, but stationary. That's important that we're not having our eyes jet all over the place. And just settling in, taking a few easy breaths, in through the nose, out through the nose. Okay, and I'm going to intentionally bring some noise into it, so don't be scared. But we're going to listen to the sounds around us. And when you're listening, you don't have to know what the sound is. You don't have to locate it or identify it. Just listen and then move on. Keep listening. Listening for the sounds of other people. Listening for outside sounds. And again, you can just detach yourself from having to know what the sound is. You can just listen and let it pass. Keep listening to the sounds around you. We don't need to judge the sound or ask it to go away. And now let's take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Let it out through the mouth. Just take a few moments. Just let yourself relax. Good. Good. And so the one thing that a lot of people notice is after we're done focusing and I say relax, they still continue to listen around them. And that's what's called the effortless. So we have a focus, which is effortful. And then when I say relax, that's when, and we still do it, that's when it's called effortless. And that's when we're really starting to get into what it is to meditate. Because meditation is not hard, it's not effortful. Getting there can be effort. It should be, right?
So that was so interesting to me because every time I heard the sound, I was paying attention to it, and you told me not to pay. And also, what I thought was kind of comical, the first moment I heard it, and we would have this in common, is I thought it was a metronome. I was like, is that a metronome? But it was so spaced out that I then forgot that I thought it was a metronome, and then it came back. But it was very interesting. I didn't know meditation could be that way, to actually focus or to have intentional sound around you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is really
Oh
interesting.
yeah. And that's a really nice way for especially people that work in loud places, um, to kind of
Yeah.
not mind the loud so much. You can actually listen to it. And it's just kind of a symphony that's going on around you. And then what happens is then your mind, despite the the energies that are going around, is able then to focus in on what it needs to do. So this is when we say, how does meditation help us to focus on our work, um, by giving ourselves the opportunity to listen to all the sounds around us, and then we can say, okay, so that's still going on, and now I'm going to choose to focus on this one thing, whether it's writing a proposal or drawing something or chanting something, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the do you think that the various types of meditations that exist, did they come about because everyone needs something a little different,
Yes,
do you think?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, if there was one time, I mean, it's really in that way, just very much like exercise, very much like, I mean, kind of any other practices. We are, humans are very changeable, and something that works for one person will absolutely not. So if somebody with maybe tinnitus or tinnitus in the ear, um, that actually listening to it, because they spend a lot of time ignoring it, but actually listening
Mm.
to it helps to dissipate it. And so it's kind of the opposite. As much power as it has to annoy you is as much power as it has to actually help help you. So something like
Interesting.
that you wouldn't think is it's really counterintuitive.
Yeah.
So sometimes the practices that we're drawn to are good for us, but sometimes they're just propagating the noise. So, for example, I'm a musician, so I really like singing mantras. So in Sanskrit, they have these kind of little short aphorisms or phrases or mantras. We know this word mantra.
Mhm.
It's kind of this power sound that you say it over and over and over and over again. So yogis, sorry, I gotta get myself comfy here. So yogis use these sounds, but we actually use them in Sanskrit. And that is the ancient language of yoga. It's not used, it's kind of a dead language, like you would say Latin is a dead language. Its roots are in many, many languages, hundreds of languages. But it's not spoken anymore. But it is chanted. Yogis use this to chant. Um, and for me, it has the flow and a melody, and it goes up, it goes down. And I like using it because I can chant to myself, calm down, calm down, calm down, calm down, calm down. And I get stuck in the words that I'm hearing, right? They're in English, they have actual meaning to me. But if I know something like Shanti, Shanti, so that is the Sanskrit word which loosely means peace. But we're not really worried about what the literal meaning of it is, but it has a vibration that invokes this peaceful feeling. So not to go too deep into Sanskrit, but it's a vibrational language. So the easiest Sanskrit word that most of us know is Om, right? This word Om. And it is according to the Swami that I follow, Sachidananda, who started the Yogaville ashram in Buckingham County. It is the best sound. He says it's the best sound because it encompasses all other sounds in its sound. It does not have a religious meaning. If you simply make the sound and listen, then it reverberates in your body, in your mind, in your energy field. I mean, this may be getting a little bit esoteric, but for me, I like to have that sound. Some people want to be absolutely silent. when they meditate.
So you bring us to one of the myths that I mentioned to you when we were talking. I have had many people say to me that they think that meditation is a religion, and that they are concerned that the word Om, or I never heard Santi before, but they are concerned that these words are maybe against their faith, or because they're for another faith, or some such thing. And is that a popular myth?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. And definitely in the yoga world, I deal with that a lot. That yoga is a religion, and a lot of other not correct things about. So um, meditation is not a religion. Religions use meditative practices. So in our church at St. Stephen's, they have a contemplative prayer practice that is nothing more, nothing less than meditation. And what it is it's using the words of the Christian prayer in order to focus our attention, and so that we can then think about our higher selves, or our loving selves, or God, or whatever it is. So every religion uses meditative practices. Every religion also uses physical practices.
Right.
With some, it's making the sign of the cross. With others, it's bowing. With our Islamic friends, um, with Buddhists will walk. We have walking meditation. So the training of the mind that are meditative practices came way before all of these religions. And but the meditative practices fit very nicely into religious practices. So if that's a way that you go, then it can only enhance.
Right. Right.
For our friends that are not religious, it is the Sanskrit words, again, don't have um, a direct translation into English. I can give you a feeling of what they mean, but we really get what they mean when we say them.
Right. Well,
So
that's really interesting. Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt. But that is really interesting. And so that's basically that a lot of people have it absolutely backwards. I mean, I understand what you're saying completely, that religions use meditative practices. Meditation does not mean it's a religion, does not. And that's so much more inclusive. So I love
yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, the yogis of age. I mean, yoga has been around. It started out as meditative practices, and then it started. I don't know. Yoga's been around like 6,000 years. I don't know, 600,000 years. I don't know how long it's been around. It's been around a very long time, and the first practices that were noticed and notated and historically written down are those of chanting and meditation and training the mind. Now, as we said earlier, everybody's minds are different. We relate to different things. So for some people, doing mind yoga or meditation practices is very easy. Oh, they're like, I can sit and meditate for hours. I would love to know your secret because I cannot. But so yoga, again, it started in these meditative practices, and then the yogis started saying, well, it's a little uncomfortable me sitting here for this amount of time. How can I make myself more comfortable? And then we started bringing in the physical practices to make the body feel good.
Oh.
Because, yeah.
So thank you for that segue, because I had mentioned to you in our notes back and forth that I had read that yoga and meditation can actually reduce chronic pain, or help someone with post-surgical pain, or post-workout pain. Is this something that you put a lot of stock in?
Well, yes. So Satchidananda, again, the Swami that I've learned most of my teachings from, or gotten most of the teachings from, says it's not mind over matter. What he says is, if you don't mind, it doesn't matter. So how can that relate? And not making light of pain whatsoever. I mean, chronic pain is real, and it is a true issue. Um, and certainly the movement of yoga is helpful, because a lot of people, oh, I have this chronic pain in my shoulder. And what do? Is we hold it. And then it not only gets that, and then the neck, and then the other side, and then. So certainly the movement of yoga practices in freeing our joints, strengthening muscles around our joints. So we're not paying, just using our joints, muscling into things. Um, strengthening our core and things like that can absolutely help to reduce chronic pain. I have an 81-year-old client who's not my oldest client right now. My oldest client is 94. And that woman touches her toes every time we're together. um, but my client, my 81-year-old client, my second oldest client, um, says that it's the best time and the best money that she's ever spent is working with me to just get the body moving in a mindful way. In other words, you're not just throwing your body around in space. You can do that. Chances are you're going to injure yourself, and then you're going to feel worse, and then you're not going to want to do anything, and yada, yada, yada. But when you move in a mindful way, you can notice, how do the joints move in relation to, where I am in space? What am I actually doing to walk? What muscles am I using for that? And so then this can really help in a holistic manner, um, to to alleviate all over pain, um, and not make us stress so much. One huge thing that I do in my yoga practice is focus on posture. Right? Oh, and so everybody sits up straight, right? So one of the biggest thing that happens, look, we have to remember that we're primates. So if you've ever seen an old gorilla or an old chimpanzee or an old orangutan, they're kind of in like this, and it's very much approach at your own risk situation. But what's happening is, as we age, we're protecting our internal organs. Gravity is pulling us down. So one thing I do a lot of work on, and not only with 60 plus, is posture for everyone. It's using the muscles that we have in our back to hold us up. So I do a lot of posture work, and so many people, just by doing that. I just had a client on my floor an hour ago who was saying, I'm catching myself now. I'm catching myself when I'm hunching over, and I'm bringing myself back, and I have less back pain. I have less knee pain. I'm thinking better, so I didn't make it up. I'm just helping people to realize the strength that they have in their own bodies.
And I would think that yoga and meditation would be particularly valuable at this time. We've been isolated, we've been less active, during COVID, and we're all looking for ways to sort of heal ourselves,
Yeah.
and heal those around us. And so, have you had anyone come to you and say, hey, I have my child or myself, we're trying to get past, a little bit of depression, isolation, and just trying to heal. Have you had anyone come to you specifically for those
Yeah,
reasons?
yeah. Oh yeah. I that happens probably on a daily basis. Um, I'd say the other day I've been teaching at one of the retirement communities down the street, and excuse me, it's independent living. And so I of course stopped working with them last March. I started up again probably September, October, I think, and we're all masked, and they have limited numbers, and I do 2 sessions instead of 1. And we were doing this exercise where we're opening our arms and breathing in, and then we're coming around and giving ourselves a hug. And this woman in front of me, she said, well, that's the most physical contact I've had, just hugging myself. And I was like, heck with this. And I went over and I gave her a huge hug. And but opening ourselves up in that way, I mean, and she just melted into my arms. It was so beautiful. And of course I'm vaccinated. I know she's vaccinated too. And of course, I wouldn't have done that if that was okay. But yeah, people coming together in this way, even over the Zoom. My 81-year-old client, I mean, she doesn't see anybody. And so me coming and talking to her in this way, I mean, she's just thriving, just absolutely thriving. And
Wow,
she never knew that her body could do this.
that is beautiful. That
That's
is really
really cool.
special.
It's really
Yeah.
cool and wonderful for depression, because depression is the opposite of depression is not happy. Does everybody know that? Let's learn something new today. The opposite of sad is happy. The opposite of depressed is action. Okay. So when you're depressed, you're low energy. Yes, these other things happen as well, but you're very much stuck right here. So the opposite of that is activity. So, and we're also in this state too. Sometimes our minds are up here and our bodies are in this. Another word for depression is stagnant, right? So the opposite of depression is activity. So if we can simply bring ourselves to a point where we can get some activity in the mind, in the body, there's probably plenty going on in the mind, but bringing the body along. With some people, it's really just a matter of getting up, literally a matter of getting up and moving the body in a mindful way. And once we make, in yoga, we talk about these 3 levels of energy that are present in everything and everywhere and everything that we do. And one is a low energy, one is a very high energy, and one is in the middle. It's called sattva. There's even, I think, a mattress company that's named Sattva, which I think is a very good name for a mattress company. Because you don't want your mattress to be way down here. You don't want your mattress to be way up here. You want it to be what? Just like Goldilocks said, just right. Right? And so there are times when we're very high and energetic that we need to kind of bring ourselves down so that we can then be at a middle level. There are also times, like in the morning, for example, when we're kind of here and we've got to just simply get up, get moving, and get ourselves to this level, right? So the yogi never wants to be down here or up here. The yogi wants to be right here, right? We thrive in the middle ground because then we're not allowing the waves of life to kind of hit us, because we're always here. So we should never really, Satchidananda, again, I always talk about my teacher. Satchidananda says we should never really hope for happiness or sadness or, or anything, just being in the middle. And then when we're in the middle, we find that we're always pretty much happy. I'll say the word happy.
Yeah. So Iffet, I have never been here, like ever.
You have probably at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're there, but
Oh,
it's not quick to realize it.
It's not really beneficial to my family because I'm the one in the morning, I'm singing and giggling and everybody's going, seriously, bring it down a notch. Even the dogs give me a strange look.
Yep. Yep.
But
And
that is,
somebody just mentioned in the chat about being in the present. And that's very much what that's about. It is being in the present. We hear about this all the time. How do you do it? How do you do it? Well, when you're paying attention to breathing, going back to the very first exercise, you have to be present. Because unless you're a weird yogi like me, you're not thinking about that breath I took yesterday or that breath I'm going to take later. You're thinking about the breathing as it happens right now. So much misery, and this is very much a Buddhist or Eastern thought, much misery is brought to the human condition when we're worried about later, what's going to happen later, which brings anxiety, or what happened before, which neither things can we do anything about. Right? So exactly. Yep. So that's when you find yourself in trouble, when you're in one place or the other. When we're present, when we're paying attention to the right now, all those other things fall away. So we notice a reduction in depression and sadness and anxiety because we're not thinking about, oh my goodness, I wish I hadn't said that back in 1987. Oh my God. you know. I don't know about you, but I go there too. Um,
Kenyatta gave us a good response. That is so true. You do those things and you can't really control them.
right.
We are wrapping up to the very end. I just wanted to give a couple of moments for any questions, although folks have been very good about making comments in the chat.
Mhm.
But does anyone have a question for Iffet while we have her here and with
I
this
just want to
valued experience?
I just want to make a plug. I do teach 3 times a week on Zoom. So if anybody's interested in my contact information, Yvonne has all that.
Yes.
Um,
Let's put it
and
in.
um,
Let's put that in the chat as well, Iffet. It would be your email.
uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, you can reach out and I can, always send you an invitation or tell you what I do. I do, like I said, teach privately, both in person now. I do in-person stuff, usually masked. Everybody's masked. Um, but my private clients get to take my Zoom classes for free. And all my classes, here's something great. All my class, well, it's great to me. All my classes are pay what you can. So I know a lot of people, I have a lot of musician friends that are unemployed, underemployed right now. I don't want that to be a barrier to anyone practicing with me.
That is so
So
cool.
my mom yells at me all the time. My girlfriend Lori up in New Jersey, who's a lawyer, said this is not a charity. But I always find that encouraging more people to do something is always the better. It's always been the better way for me. So they're all pay what you can. I suggest between $12 and $25 is kind of standard.
So it'll come back to you 100-fold. That's what we know.
It has, yeah.
Well, this has been so informative and also very helpful. It sounds like and looks like everyone enjoyed it, and we appreciate your time so very much, Iffet. And
Do we have a few minutes just for a little bit of a relaxation?
sure.
Okay. All right. So everybody, just sit back. Again, let your eyes float closed. And we're just going to bring to our mind a pleasant picture or image. A pleasant, could be a person or a place. And if a little smile skitters across your face, that is absolutely allowed. And there's a reason why this is pleasant to you. And just take a few moments and feel how this makes you feel. Let yourself just settle into whatever it is that you're looking at or imagining. Notice how your shoulders relax away from your ears. Your mouth will relax. Even your eyes and your forehead will relax as you just melt into this image, this pleasant view. We'll all take a nice breath in through the nose, breathe in fully, let it out through the mouth. Good. And let your eyes float open.
That was wonderful.
It doesn't take much.
What a way to wrap up the week.
Of course.
Yeah. And so lots of folks saying that they really appreciated you and appreciate this session. And we will share your information when we post the link. We do that in YouTube. We'll send you the link. And we're also going to post this in our Facebook group for
Yep.
Innsbruck's Biggest Loser.
And I do have a Facebook group as well called Iffet's Zoom Yoga. So we can link to my group as well. I accept everyone.
Okay.
Great. And so you can see me there, and that's how I am reaching people as far as getting Zoom links and hooking everybody up.
Is that on Facebook?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
My
Yay.
pleasure. Have a great weekend, everyone.
All right, you too.